What does it really cost to become a pilot in 2025? Today, we are breaking down every dollar you'll spend on earning your private pilot's license and how you can save money along the way. To qualify for your PPL in the United States, the FAA requires 40 flight hours. But here's the real truth. Very few people finish in only 40. Most students take around 55 to 70 hours before they are fully trained and ready for their check ride. And in this business, more hours equals more money. So everything we talk about today assumes about 65 hours of flight time, the current national average. So when it comes to flying, one of the biggest factors is the aircraft. The aircraft you fly matters. A Cessna 172, a Piper Warrior, or a Glass Cockpit Trainer are all priced differently. But here's the general range for 2025. An aircraft rental will go for $160 to $240 per hour, with a flight instructor ranging $55 to $85 per hour. So for 65 hours with the plane and 50 hours with an instructor, you're looking at an estimated flight training total of anywhere from $13,500 to $19,000. Yes, 50 hours is a lot for instructor hours, but assuming 65 hours total, this is pretty on point for a private pilot's license. So the next thing you're going to need to get your private pilot's license is the book learning and test. So you're going to need to take a ground school. So ground school is going to range from $250 to $600. The actual written exam will cost you around $175 on average, and to get your medical exam to be medically fit was $150 to $250 to get that done. Written materials, logbooks, charts, subscriptions, those will range you about $200 to $400 as well, totaling up to $775 to $1,400 to get all of your ground portion done. Your final exam is the FAA check ride with the Designated Pilot Examiner, or DPE. This includes both an oral and practical test. The check ride fee is $900 to $1,200 in some places, and it can be significantly higher due to demand and availability of DPEs. And something that people forget to budget in the cost of getting your check ride is the actual cost of the airplane, because the DPE will not provide a plane for you. So the aircraft rental for the check ride will be an additional $300 to $500 as well, bringing your total up to $1,200 to $1,700 for your check ride, and could be higher depending on where you're at. You also want to eventually buy some gear or upgrade some gear. Headsets that are normally decent range from $200 to $1,200. A tablet for flight will run you about $500 to $1,200. It's optional, but definitely highly recommended. And then things like a knee board, fuel tester, etc., $100 to $200, bring your gear total anywhere from $300 to $2,500, depending on your setup. So what does that mean for the average person in 2025? $15,500 to $24,600 for the average pilot's license in 2025. Yes, this may be much higher than what you thought, but this is looking at the national average to complete your PPL at 65 hours. Fortunately for me, I was able to complete mine for much less, and here's how. So for starters, I trained at a local flying club, not a big flight school, and that made a huge difference in cost. I flew between 3 and 5 times per week, weather permitting, which helped me finish faster and retain more between my lessons. The FAA minimum is 40 hours, and most students take 55 to 70, but I ended up finishing mine in 46, which definitely saved me money, and here's my breakdown. So aircraft rental plus instructor combined cost me $8,725 from start to check ride prep. That includes all dual instruction, solo time, pattern work, cross countries, and check ride prep. Now for ground school, I went with Jepson Online Training. There's many options out there, but I went with them for $225. They have solid content and way cheaper than many of the other courses that could be $400 to $600, or even worse, working with an instructor for in-person grounds, which will cost thousands more. My FAA knowledge test fee was $175. And my other costs included a first class medical at $195, my check ride DPE fee, which was $700, and an additional $320 for aircraft rental, totaling up to $1,027 for my check ride. Lastly, training gear was $415. That includes my ForeFlight, knee board, and other essentials. The cost of my iPad was not included because I already owned it, but for you, that could be an added expense getting an iPad mini or a regular iPad. But in general, nothing fancy, just essentials. No $1,200 headsets or unnecessary gadgets. So what were my total numbers? At 46 hours, it cost me $10,586, significantly less than the $15K plus expected cost. So how did I save so much? As I mentioned, training at a flight club instead of a big name academy, flying multiple times a week to avoid learning, studying before every lesson to make sure I was prepared and would not have to repeat lessons after the fact, choosing a cost-effective ground school, staying consistent and not taking long breaks, where every week, even if weather was bad, I made up for those days to make sure I'm always flying, because more consistency equals fewer hours, which equals less money. So in total, my journey was much cheaper. But still, flying isn't cheap, but it's one of the most worthwhile investments you can make in yourself. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more aviation content, and drop a comment below with your training costs or questions. See you in the skies.